Hi, I'm Marcel with Guaranteed Rate, and I'm actually interviewing someone today that I'm really interested in introducing you to. Her name is Kaitlyn Norton, and she is a real estate coach. So, Kaitlyn, thanks so much for showing up today. Definitely want to ask you a couple different questions about coaching, but first off, tell me a little bit about yourself. What brought you into coaching to begin with?
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to be here and talk about it. So with coaching, I started in real estate. I started as a listing agent for one of the top teams with Keller Williams, and actually top teams in the nation, and
Okay.
then transitioned into their director of sales. And as that position of director of sales, you're coaching all the agents on the team. You're coaching them in productivity, you're recruiting, you're training, you're really growing the team's numbers. So I got to see the backside of that business. And then I moved to Texas and joined up with another top team, the Christy Cannon team,
Okay.
who are actually 15th in the nation right now. So
Awesome.
an awesome team. And with that, was able to see a different way of also running a big 9-figure business.
Sure.
And still coaching agents, coaching multiple agents that are on that team, still coaching some of the agents that I was with in Utah. And then naturally, some of the other agents in both Utah and other states started reaching out to me to coach them on the side.
Okay.
So it became a little like almost a hobby
Awesome.
to coach them, help them with their businesses, and especially a passion for helping agents grow their teams.
Okay.
So that's kind of how it started, and then just grew it into a business now.
Awesome, awesome. So you actually got to see from the internals the coaching and everything that went on. Obviously, you're assisting some of the buyers agents and listing agents with their own personal practices within the team, but you got to see the team's growth and to see how doing those specific strategies and doing the right things allowed them to grow. So I can definitely see how that could be hugely beneficial. You know, when you talk about track record and resumes, having the teams that you've already been a part of underneath your belt, I mean, that to me is amazing because there's truly not that many real estate teams that are out there that are producing at such a high level. And in order to teach people how to do that, you really have to have almost an intimate knowledge of what is happening behind the curtain on the team. How is it that they're being so productive? How is it that their buyers agents are doing more transactions? How is it that they're creating more listings? And so I think it's really cool that you actually have that knowledge. You know, there's a lot of coaches out there sometimes that coach that may be coaching from the book, so to speak, but haven't truly seen the real world and what's going on behind that curtain. So I think it's really, really interesting. So
It's been really fun. I think I've been I look back at my experience, and I've been really blessed to have amazing mentors.
Sure.
And I would include you in as part
Well,
of
thank
that,
you.
of people that are high producers running big businesses and being able to mastermind and see, again, behind the scenes, how big teams are working, and that there's not just one way to skin the cat. Like
Yeah.
they're with two large teams, they're doing things very differently, but it's all working.
Sure.
And then within those teams, masterminding with other big teams or other big top producers, privately in different networks, and being able to see, like, what are you doing right, what are you doing wrong, like, how does this work, is all fascinating to me. And that's something that I can bring back and say, when somebody's wanted to try something, if we've already tried that and it doesn't work,
Yeah.
or hey, here's a faster way, let's expedite that process.
Sure.
So it's fun for me to like to see
Absolutely.
that side of it. And obviously
Absolutely,
passion.
and I can tell literally how excited you get. You know, when you see that one of your students is doing well, and you
Yeah.
see that they've had, you know, the best month that they've ever had, and the best year that they've ever had. You know, you live vicariously through their success because you know that everything that you did to help them get there helped them achieve something that oftentimes they didn't even think was possible.
Yeah.
And
it's
so I think that's really cool. So tell me, I know that there's a lot of different coaches that are out there. What makes you different? Why would someone choose you to coach them in a real estate career as opposed to someone else that's out there?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there are a lot of different coaching programs out there. Some are 12-week programs, some are one-on-one, some are with big companies. One of the reasons that I started my own was I had 8 or 9 different coaches with different companies. I have a life coach, I have a business coach, I even had a relationship coach. I like coaching, I like mentorship. If I
Sure.
want to learn about something, then I'm going to put myself in a situation where I want to get uncomfortable
Yeah.
and get past that or learn something different. But with the real estate coaches that I'd had, I probably had 8 or 9, and maybe one that really helped with my business. The other
Okay.
ones I tended to be more frustrated because I felt like I was getting the same bland content that they were giving everybody else.
Sure.
And it wasn't so much catered to like what my needs were. I was like, they were talking to everybody that week about the exact same thing, and I was paying for this half-hour call that I wasn't getting anything out of.
Yeah.
Or the teams that I was on were doing a lot more production than that coach had ever done or been around. And so they were basically asking me for all of our tips to help with all their clients, and why am I paying for this?
Exactly.
So with what I wanted to do was cater it to every single person, and that's been the fun part, is all my agents have very different businesses, are on different levels of production. So if whether they're building a team or an individual agent, or they're an agent on a team, I can cater that call and make sure that those 30 minutes are purposeful, and that help them grow their business, whatever they want that to look like and whatever they want to be held accountable to, that we can make that valuable for them.
Yeah, and I guess, truly everyone does have different goals on production level, on what type of work-life balance they want to have. Everyone is really looking for something else, so catering specifically to what they're wanting to achieve is certainly something that's obviously very important. So tell me about, do you typically just coach the top agents out there, or tell me a little bit about kind of who your clients are? Do you like to just focus on high producing realtors, or do you also focus on newer realtors? Tell me a little bit about who your ideal candidate is, and how you can help them.
I have focused more on $6 million producers and above, those agents. I have a passion for people that are growing teams. That is what's really fun for me, but it's also fun to have people that are in different areas of their business. So, and I also love to help people get through some of those like plateaus and the ruts, because there tends to be kind of the same pitfalls that I see with agents that are doing year over year, they're doing 24 transactions and they can't seem to get past that, or they can't seem to get past 50 transactions, and maybe they've been in the business for 6 years, but it's just a matter of getting the right systems, accountability, and some of those things in place that might be able to just make that push to really help them. So honestly, I love anybody. My biggest thing is their mindset. When I first do a consultation with them, I want to make sure that they're going to be a good match, that they're somebody that has, one of the things I look for is grit. If this person is somebody that's really going to put in the time and effort, because it needs to be worth both of our time. And I have that in my coaching contract, that if you're not keeping your commitments that we talk about every single week, then I'm not going to coach you. Because it's not a good use of your time or mine. If we're going through it every single week, and every single week you're not, holding what you're asking me to hold you accountable to, then what's the point?
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, I can go hire the best personal trainer on earth and go to the gym all the time, but if I come home every day and eat ice cream and pizza and hamburgers and just eat like crap, it's not going to help me. So there really does have to be that overall commitment to make sure that you're doing everything and truly committed to the process, because if you're not, you're never going to end up having the success that you're looking for, because you're really not committed to the process. So
and the mindset, I think that's one of the biggest things, is just a lot of agents come with excuses or say that things aren't possible, but there's agents doing it. So if somebody's doing it, you can do it, but it's all about if you've got the right mindset to commit to do it. So again, I will work with really any agents. I have a specific program for one-on-one coaching, which is typically $6 million producers and above, that are really have got that business going, and now they're wanting to build it out. So maybe they're making their first hire, maybe they're hiring their admin or their buyer's agent or a showing assistant or whatever that looks like, or maybe they're a large team that needs additional leverage and has 15 buyer's agents, and they need classes or groups or one-on-one accountability. And then I also have a program for newer agents that's more of a group coaching, where we can go in and answer any of those questions and do some of those basic scripts, help them with objection handlers, and really help them gain that confidence so they can start doing that minimum of 24 transactions.
No, I think that's really good, and I think that also it makes it a little easier as a newer agent, to come into the entire coaching world, because when you look at the top producing realtors that are out there and the top producing loan officers, really in any industry, 99% of them have a coach. But the question is then, how is it that they even got into coaching? And sometimes it is too big a jump for people to get into that one-on-one coaching, especially in the beginning of their career.
It's a cost.
But absolutely. But being able to do that with other like-minded individuals, it can really be beneficial, because it gives them access to a lot of that professional knowledge, motivation, systems, strategies that oftentimes you're sharing with obviously the top level producers as well, but to do it in more of that group mindset. So I definitely applaud you for for opening it up to agents that are newer in the business, because I think that is really such an important part, especially in the first years in the business. You know,
yeah, it's really hard when people first get into real estate.
Yeah, it is. And the thing is, you know, the difference between getting with a coach, even if you don't hit that 24 transactions, let's say without a coach, you may end up doing 2 transactions that year, 3 transactions that year. You may not be in business very long.
Right.
And so if you get involved in the group coaching, and instead of doing 2 or 3 transactions, what if that turns into 12 transactions, 13 transactions? Now you have a viable business. You have something to build off of, but you wouldn't have had the opportunity to do that had you not been in coaching, in groups, learning from people who have been there, done that, seen other people achieve at extremely high levels.
Absolutely.
So I definitely think for newer agents, the ones that are truly committed, coaching is really an incredible thing to consider and get involved in, because it is so helpful. Everyone out there that's achieving at an extremely high level at some point in their life has had a coach. And so I definitely think there's an extreme value in that.
I agree. I think with, especially bringing it back to new agents, there's a reason that there's an 89% fail rate of first-year agents. And that's because not all brokerages provide a lot of value, or training programs or group coaching. Some of the bigger ones do, and that's great. But coaching, most people that I coach are all with different brokerages, and so I've been able to see that how frustrated some of them are, because they got their license and real estate school teaches you nothing about real estate, and now they start their first day and they're like, now what? So it's filling in those gaps of not just like the basics of how to do a market evaluation or how to do some of those simple things, but to really build a business, like your systems, your models. And a lot of the time, even these top producing agents, like I've got some top producing agents that are hustling, and they're doing, like, I have a single agent that's doing 70 to 80 transactions a year, which is a transaction coordinator, and he's a hustler, but he's a mess with his systems and things. So it's cleaning all of that up so that you can do twice as much production if we can get the right systems and models in place and hold you accountable to time blocking and some of the simple things that if having somebody else's perspective, and I can say this for my business, having somebody that's holding me accountable or mentoring me makes a huge difference in my life. That I know if I'm going to be asked next week if I did the things that I was committed to do, I'm a lot more motivated to do them.
Yeah, absolutely. That accountability really is key. And you know, it is that mixture in coaching of the accountability, having the knowledge, being told what processes to consider, what works, what doesn't work, having someone kind of take a neutral third-party evaluation on what your personal strengths and weaknesses are, because at the end of the day, we all have things that we excel at. And then, like you said, you may be a very high-producing agent closing a lot of transactions, but if everything is a mess, literally, you may be doing business, but you're just burning clients and burning relationships. And that means you're never going to increase your volume. And in fact, if you keep doing business in the way you are, more than likely you're going to end up doing less business. So taking an outsider's view of someone's business is certainly important, and it's something that has helped my career personally. I've had several coaches that have been very involved from different marketing aspects, systems, orchestration, some of the weak spots sometimes in the systems that I didn't even realize were there, but an outside person can see that because they're not
attached.
In the woods.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's what, like you're mentioning, one of the biggest things is knowing when to leverage and what to leverage.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these big teams have, especially a lot of the top producers, one of the things that I see as like pitfalls of top producing agents is that they have a really hard time leveraging or giving up control. And I see it because I did it.
Yeah.
Like, it was really hard for me to trust somebody else with any of my clients.
Exactly.
Or the behind the scenes or the paperwork or the marketing or any of those things, because they were mine and they were, you know, if you didn't do as good of a job as I did, then then if you mess up once, I don't want to trust you. But getting the right leverage pieces, and that's a lot of the time that's hiring right, but knowing when to bring on those people and what that looks like and what the process is. A lot of people try to hire buyer's agents before they're ready to bring on a buyer's agent, before they really even have a value proposition, and really their first hire should be an admin. But it's just building that back, and sometimes it's taking people back to the basics and then building it back out and making sure they have the right people in place. But again, going back to what to leverage and when are huge.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, how is it that you make sure that it's a good match? You know, because there's lots of different personality types out there. There's lots of different coaches. I know from my experience, having worked with several coaches, some of them I didn't necessarily mesh with, and some of them were really, really good fits. So tell me, how is it that you kind of make sure that it's a good match between you and the student?
I start with a complimentary consultation, and that's a good chance for them to interview me and me to interview them, and make sure that it's going to be that mutual, that it's going to be a good relationship. I have a stronger, more dominant personality at times, and so that I know that if I've got somebody that's extremely sensitive, I might not be their best fit. If they're like, yes, there's going to be some cheerleading involved, but a lot of it's going to be accountability. Like, I have all of my clients share their calendars with me, so I have full transparency. I have access to a lot of their CRMs. I have access to, and then they're sending me their production every single week before the call. So I am going to be calling them out. And that's what they're asking for, but that's not for everybody.
Exactly.
And so I can usually get a feel for that as we're going through that consultation. I'm really asking them what they're looking for. Then sometimes I'm going to gear them towards their own brokerage coaching programs. And that might be a better fit for them versus some of those people that are wanting a little bit of a kick in the pants. Or to really grow their business. Then awesome, let's dive in, let's do this. Then those are the people I get excited about.
Yeah, it really does establish that level of commitment very early if you're open and telling people, hey, listen, I need access to your calendar. I need access to all this stuff. And they're like, oh, hold on. Okay, well, if that's the reaction, you know, yes, either that's going to be something that you're okay with and you can get over it and it's going to help you grow, or if you're not at that point yet, that's okay too. There are other programs out there, you know. I mean, there's lots of great training programs that a lot of different real estate brokerages have that are more for that, let's get you ramped up, let's kind of show you the beginner stages, so to speak. But you know, it really is, in order for a coach to be effective, you really do have to kind of be an open book and allow people to see your calendar. And I'm sure if you see someone's calendar, there's nothing on it, it's like, what are you doing? Because if it's not on your calendar, it's not happening.
And that goes with both, with the calendar and then also just like their goals and their production. Like, if it's not being measured, it's not being met. And so going through everything that they're talking about, their goals at the beginning of the week, I know what your goal was at the beginning of the week, and then we can talk about how you did. Like, and rate yourself is something that I have my clients do. Like, rate yourself last week on a scale of 1 to 10, or rate yourself, were you an A player, a B player, or a C player last week? And we all have our weeks where we're like, yeah, I didn't, you know, like, stuff happens, life happens. But really being purposeful with having goals for the week, having goals for every single day, makes you a lot more purposeful agent if you know what you're going to be doing specifically for lead gen. Like, a lot of people have the block lead gen on their calendar, but are you actually doing it? Or are you answering calls during that time? Are you doing contract negotiations? Are you doing all these other things? But what I have them do is, what are you doing for lead gen? Like, is that calling during that 9 to 12 on Monday? What is it on Tuesday? What is it? Like, what are you committed to? And show me it.
Yeah, and if you don't know that up front, you're going to be sitting there going, okay, well, I should be doing lead gen right now. What am I going to be doing? Oh, here's Facebook. Let me, you know, it becomes a sidetrack. So, no, I definitely understand that. I know I've kind of had to go through some of those hurdles on my journey as well. But at the end of the day, being able to identify them, or having a coach identify some of those things and help you through them, is enormous. It is, in my opinion, really one of the key aspects to having that success, because you have to be open. You have to make sure that you are communicating well and letting a coach know, okay, well, listen, I'm not comfortable in doing this. Okay, well, is this something you're going to be able to get over? Or if you're not comfortable in marketing or branding or lead generating in that way, let's talk about some of the things that you are comfortable with. Don't tell me what you're not going to do. Tell me what you will do. Absolutely.
I see that a lot. A lot of people have the mindset of lead gen means making cold calls. It doesn't always mean making cold calls. Lead gen doesn't mean you have to door knock. There are hundreds of ways to lead gen. It's just the one that works is the one that you do.
Exactly.
So
absolutely.
I think that's just really taking a look at their business, really seeing what works. And where coaching comes into play is, I know that people see it as that additional expense, but really if that brought you $1 million more in production every single month, that's more than paid for itself. And then you can start leveraging and getting some of those things out of it. So for me, it's always been worth it to have, honestly, multiple coaches or mentors, or reaching out to different people and growing. So if you really are wanting a big business, you have to think big. and surround yourself with people that are thinking big.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming in today. If you do have any questions of Kaitlyn, definitely reach out to her. What's going to be the best way to contact you?
If you go to www.riserecoaching.com, you can schedule a consultation there, or you can reach out to me directly at 214-449-0436.
Thanks, y'all. Have a great one.
Thank you.